So it is, let's see what time it is now. It's getting warm. I'm tired. You guys are tired. It's 3:37. Okay. So we got another hour and a half. We're going to try to go strong, finish strong. Again, everyone has coffee. That's good. Cookies, even better. Beer is coming. Alcohol is coming around 5-ish, I think. So we'll share a beer together. Hopefully it'll be cold, but I can't promise that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a bunch of growth hacks. We'll tell you the ones that we've done, we've seen. Hopefully these are interesting. You've probably seen some of them at least, but I want to explain some of the thinking behind them, why we think they work, how they fit sort of in the larger picture as well. And I think as you've seen from today, we try to think inexpensive, do it today, fast versus very elaborate versus tremendous developer resource versus other things. So for example, I'll give you a hack that I didn't give you guys today. I guess I'll give it to you now. People are spinning up exact match domains in local search. Okay? So there's a sort of controversy in SEO. Does exact match domain work or does it not work? Google has officially said it doesn't work. And for those of you who don't know, exact match domain is like I go hamandcheesesandwiches.com, right? And if anyone searches ham and cheese, I should rank pretty high because that's my domain. Okay? For a while that worked really well. I still think it sort of works, but I'm not a professional SEO. And so but what I do see people do is trying this, because what you can do is, if you have a bunch of very long tail, perhaps low volume queries, but that are high value to you, you could potentially, let's say you're selling ham and cheese sandwiches, you could potentially buy hamandcheesesandwich.nl, hamandcheesesandwich.at, hamandcheesesandwich.hu, make sure you rank them in local search, and then aggregate a bunch of local searches. Right? To do that, though, you'd actually have to write some custom software, right? Because you'd want to buy probably 100 domains at once, figure out some sort of templating engine, and some sort of content management system. Follow me? You could do it. It wouldn't be something you could do tomorrow. And there's some risk there where, theoretically, if Google saw this, they may not like it. They may think the content is thin, and you may just be a big waste of time and money. So those aren't things that we were talking about today. They do exist, but those aren't, we didn't want to give you a bunch of kind of crazy stuff like that because, again, they're hard to implement. So let's go talk about stuff that's easy to implement. Free stuff. So here's our friend Neil's website analyzer site. This is actually very interesting because you're seeing more and more people do this, where the problem they're actually trying to fix is this. There's not enough traffic, or traffic is too expensive for the keywords that relate to their tool. Okay? So this could be either two things, right? So there's like either I don't want to pay for that traffic because it's too expensive, or there's not enough volume. But can I develop some content or a tool that's tangential, that's next to this stuff? And then when I show them what I really want to sell them, they'll know what to do. Does that make sense? Okay, so for example, this example, this website analyzer, Neil is the founder of multiple online tools like Kissmetrics, Crazy Eggs. These are multiple analytics website tools. He's done a lot of SEO. He's very experienced in that. And so Crazy Egg is a heat map product, right? But if you're a beginning web marketer, you may not even know what a heat map is, what it's good for. So hence, if you're trying to reach that person, how do you reach that person if they don't know what they're looking for? Well, one way to do it is something like this, is go give them a website analyzer, gives them an SEO score, gives them a speed score, helps them what they really want to do is build more traffic. And then you can say, hey, by the way, remember that cool website analyzer tool I gave you for free that you got to use, which I used to harvest your email? Well, guess what? Here's this thing called a heat map. Heat maps are really good for analyzing click data on your web page. Okay? Make sense? Right? So you see a lot of these tools. I'm going to show you a few of them. You see a lot of these tools because they're trying to get around either traffic that's too expensive or not enough volume, but it's related. Okay? And we did something like this too for Superpowered, and it worked really well. Another one, Pingdom. This is a website speed test, very simple. It pings a website, and then it says how fast your page loads. This is important, by the way, because Google. This is one of the many factors Google ranks your site on. In fact, we recently started doing some caching and some other stuff so that we load up faster on superpowered, even though our site is a mess actually. And so here's, you can see MexicanSilverStore.com shows you that they give you a grade, they give you a load time, and what these pingdom people really sell, last time I checked, was a pinging tool that pings your website and tells you if the website is down. I could have used that a few weeks ago, actually. This is what we did. This is another project we did. This is interesting because it's sort of where content marketing meets SEO, and also some of this. How do I get to users that don't know that have a problem but aren't searching for it yet because they don't know what to call this problem? Okay. Again, if you're doing something innovative, you probably have a similar problem. So we built a audio latency test app. Okay. Bear with me. I know it's a little boring if you're not in this world. Again, the problem what we were helping solve is we reduce latency. We make audio input and output faster. On Android especially. One of the problems, aside from that, the fact that Android even has this problem, it's hard for most developers to actually measure the latency. Most developers just aren't simply experts in this. They feel it, they go, oh, this seems like it's lagging, but it's hard for them to actually measure latency. So we built a very simple app. You download the app either on iOS, either on Android. You download it, you install it, you hit test, you hear 10 beeps. It literally emits a beep, and then it's listening on the microphone as well, and it measures the difference in time. It says, your device, identifies the device, your iPhone 6 Plus has 10 milliseconds latency. Or your HTC One has 100 milliseconds latency, okay? So it gives you instant satisfaction. You download this, it gives you instant satisfaction. The best part is also, you can't see it on this page, we then upload that data, anonymized, we upload that data to this page, and it says, HTC tested on this date, Android version 5.5545x5 has 100 milliseconds latency. So we're actually building a data table, a register of a bunch of devices with known latencies. So you don't have to test if you wanted to, you can just go check it out. Also helps us for SEO. These are related searches. So we're building content. So we're not only giving actual value to people who use our app, introducing to them what we do, we're also building content. Make sense? What else did I want to talk about there? Another thing we did, a little sort of hacky thing with iOS. So if you click on Android, it'll allow you just to take the install right away, right? You don't have to go through an app store, it just installs right away. On iOS, we're using something called iOS Enterprise Distribution that some iOS developers have access to, some don't. We have access to it, so that lets us, we don't send anyone to the app store and hope they install. They install right there on their device. Works really well. This has worked really well. We see data, there's a lot of big companies actually. We're actually helping these internal development teams who are building games and things like that use our tool, right? And then another thing too is, part of this was we made the source code open and free, and so anybody can see it. So if you have a question about our methods, what we're doing, well, it's very simple. Just go to GitHub. Go to GitHub, take a look at our source code. You can actually see how we're measuring this thing, right? Again, open, transparent, solves a real problem, also builds for content and SEO. This drives a lot of leads for us. It's an important tool, I think. Another thing, I didn't mention this earlier. I should have mentioned earlier, but since we can talk about it. You guys, it's hard to read from where you guys are, but at the top, there's a blue bar. And then you have the logo type, and then you have cross-platform iOS, Android Audio SE, and an FAQ. So let's go back a little bit. Okay, perfect. So this is the Logly homepage. And typically, right on the web, we fall into this convention where you see the logo type usually on the top left, and then you see the main navigation across the top, horizontal, right? Everyone in this room is familiar with this convention, right? Why Logly? Product, pricing, customers, blog, about. Anyone see any low-hanging fruit to be picked there? No tagline, okay. Okay. Anyone else? Anything else? Let's see. So this was pointed out to us by a friend of ours who's a SEO who's responsible for billions and billions of page views a month. So it's not, Casey and I aren't the geniuses behind this, but a friend of ours is. He thinks about SEO very differently. He talks about sculpting PageRank. That's the expression he taught Casey and me. He said, look, there's sort of a lot of low-hanging fruit here because Loggly or any website known to man will never rank for product, pricing, customers, blog, and about, or login, support, contact. Right? And that's what Google reads right away. Right at the top of the page, that's part of the nav bar. It's okay. So like somewhere, Google has placed Loggly for the word product, right? On like the 17 millionth results page, right? Well, why not figure out search terms that actually map to what you do, that actually add value to your customers, so actually make sure your users are getting value and help your SEO profile and help sculpt PageRank. And what he meant by that is most backlinks to your site are generally to your home page. That seems to be like a pretty well accepted observation. So if all these people are sending like backlinks, like in our case, let's say Android bloggers are sending us backlinks to Superpowered, where else can we distribute that juice, right? So we did this thing here. So if you look at the top of our page, we have a few very long tail links there that actually link to real content. The first one is Android's 10 millisecond problem. That's actually not an SEO term. No one's really searching for that. I just want people who land on the page to read that. But the other one is like audio decoder, audio file player. Those are still pretty competitive. Audio FFT, actually, if you know what an FFT is, it's a very niche thing. That actually, I probably have a chance on ranking. And if you're looking for an audio FFT from mobile, you want to look at what we have. Audio filters, audio resampler, and let's take the last one, mobile audio latency test app. That's also, no one's searching for that, but I certainly want the words audio latency associated with what we're doing. Does that make sense? So this is actually, I think, low risk, easy to do, provides value to your customers, right? So like someone comes to Superpowered, like first of all, they don't want to log in. We want them to use our SE. There's no login, right? It's learn about our decoder, learn about our file player, learn about our FFT, learn about our resampler, right? They're very curious. They want to see how we do what we do, right? And also Google then, again, sculpting PageRank, right? People link back to us, and then we distribute that to sort of these content pieces. I think it's a pretty low risk, easy to generate, and I think we see lift in our rankings. Again, I'm trying to rank for very weird, low volume, long tail stuff, but you can use that to move into the head. Questions on this? Please.
Do you have this on every page, or is it only on one page?
So no, that's a good question. I have it on every page. And it's probably not as well optimized as it should be. But yeah, I have it on every page because again, the idea is that I add value to the user. It's not on our mobile. Like right now, our site's pretty messed up.
I've done it so it's just on the homepage. I don't want to get people everywhere. But all there as well. And again, you're not guaranteed to like rank for these keywords, but again, it's just kind of like another signal in Google, as you know, trying to set yourself up for success. Exactly. But the precision of the actual link in the page is important. But that's why we have it at the top line. No, exactly. But I would love to see if those links putting on like, more on the secondary.
We have actually our footer. We have we have all of them on our footer.
The footer because
Yeah.
Google will automatically see that if a link is structured in a way that it could be a menu on the top of the
Right.
bottom, it will automatically decrease the value of the actual link.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying that
Yeah.
if you add it on the homepage only, you will definitely say it's my most important link.
I see. Okay.
That they need to visit. But I was trying to
Correct.
And one of the things that you could do is get them into the actual text that is on the page.
Get
Instead of doing
oh, right, cross-linking, right.
probably will scroll the page, you'll never see the link.
No, you're right. So you're right. So thank you, by the way. So he's saying, aside from these links, also make sure I cross-link across content, which is something we do here, right? So like Android's 10 millisecond problem, these actually relate to each other. So this audio latency test tab actually relates to the other one I showed you. So we actually cross-link as well in the text too.
What I would do as well is that, because this is a landing page, right, to try to get as much traffic to this page as possible from all kinds of different sources.
Correct.
Yeah, that every link that is on the page
Yeah.
is relevant, just delete it.
Right.
And especially if it's a landing page that needs to do something.
Right. Good point. I think it's pretty much. I mean, we have some footer stuff that's probably unnecessary, but I think that's generally good advice. Yeah. Quite. Yeah. Decreases. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, it's super hard. I agree. It's some of those things that, right, like, we'll try, Casey and I try to look at the data on this, but sometimes I'll be quite honest, but sometimes we're like, I think this feels right. And because I would love to have, two universes where I actually know completely, like, that I'm actually affecting this. The anecdotal data that I do have, like, on some weird little, like, low volume stuff, I outrank Apple and Stack Overflow, which is pretty good, actually, given, like, it's a very technical, low volume term, right? It's a good signal also to the person searching. Like if they search VDSP FFT and like we outrank Apple, they're like, whoa, who are these guys, right?
But of course you need to take look like signups or activation or retention. That's what you want to get in there. You want to get the revenue from these people. So even if your rankings jump, but your signups drop, maybe you want to like reel it back. So of course you need to like measure that as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree. Yes.
Isn't it better to have one keyword and one link with that keyword on this page and then another link with another keyword on another page? Otherwise
Yeah, well, actually, the gentleman behind you, he was saying he thinks that, so I have this on all the pages. He was saying it might be a better signal to Google if it was just on the home page. Because then what he's saying is, when I'm signaling to Google, these are important links that are serving as my main navigation, hence weight them stronger in your algorithm, right?
should you optimize a page with one keyword?
Yeah, you could. I mean,
Like my example earlier, I was trying to find like a query, a search query. It's not necessarily like one keyword, but yeah, like some maybe it's a audio file player. Trying to optimize specifically for that. I usually do that based on like competition and also the volume. But then you also try to find like similar related keywords as well. So you get more like the long tail.
right.
And then in your example, you're like, yeah, like it could be a signal. We just have it on the homepage, and so I've done both ways, and it's worked. Again, it doesn't work with every single keyword, but I've done both ways, and it's worked. Whether you have it on whether you have it in the header on every page or just on the homepage as well.
So what Casey's something very important. So there's, like, if you think about a word, and we're definitely not going to talk about this, but something called semantic SEO. Google it. It's a never-ending rat hole, but it's something called semantic SEO, which is basically Google is looking at words and how they relate to one another. They've got algorithms that do this, and they basically use words that you and I might not use as synonyms, but Google understands them as synonyms, okay? You can spend hours and hours and hours and days learning about this, but the important thing is this. What Casey said, there's like related words, so I know that when people are talking about audio latency, they're also talking about latency measurement. Right, so I know there's sort of related searches around this, and I use some of that sprinkle that in here as well. It's got to make sense, like a human wrote this, wasn't a bot, and it's not keyword stuffing, where like Casey talked about earlier, where it's like audio latency is great, audio latency is chocolate pudding is great, audio latency, right? You can't do that. That worked for a while years ago, and also people, even if that did work for Google, people landing on your page would be like, get me out of here, right? So think about sort of a set of related keywords. Again, if you really want to dig into this, look at semantic SEO. That will, if you're interested, you could spend, again, weeks. I'm sorry? Yeah. Link back to you. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I don't do a lot of link outreach like that. It's from my friends tell me, it's expensive and laborious, and everybody sort of hates you. Yeah, I think the way I look at it, and this could be wrong, I try to build good content that people like on the Android blog. So, for example, this piece, the other piece was really cool. It was a good piece. It sparked this huge topic and debate. Then we had people reach out from Japan. They're like, hey, this is really interesting. It's very relevant to what we're working on. Can we translate? They translated in Japanese. We got links back there. We had some Polish guys wrote about it. Some Hungarian guys. Obviously, you know, Reddit had a bunch of links back to it. So I'm going to give you the standard answer, which is build great content, put it in front of people that it's meaningful, and they'll backlink to you. But again, there might be some super aggressive SEO guys here, like, that's bullshit. Hire a team in the Philippines and, you know, make them spam everybody. That might work too, by the way.
One technique that you can use is called the middleman technique. And what happens is that you scan the web for things that don't work anymore.
Yeah.
Companies get bankrupt or whatever, don't exist anymore, and then you will email the company that has a link to that company saying, all right, they don't exist anymore, but here you have a new set of content, and that's your link. And so
Right.
you provide the best service, so they'll replace that with your link.
Yep. Do you guys understand that? Right. So you can look for these dead links, and then contact the person who's sending a dead link and say, look, you know it's dead. You're not helping anyone here. I got same or better content, right? That's a good one. Actually, I tried to buy, like, there's an Android site that had gone out of business, but actually had quite a bit of sort of related keywords, and I was trying to buy them actually for a few $1,000s, but I couldn't get the owner. That's sort of similar, where I would have actually redirected a lot of their content perhaps to me. So talk about this. Good. Here's another tool. HubSpot is really famous for doing this stuff, right? So the big part of their marketing automation, which is a very crowded space, by the way, as I'm sure you all know, is all the different grading tools they have. And then again, it's, what's your website, competing websites. Oh, give us your email address so we can email you the information.
Like what we're calling needs a lot of times, we're getting people earlier in the buying process. So if any of you have used HubSpot, I'm sure you've seen there's a lot of functionality. It can take a while to get going. It's expensive. It's kind of like the Salesforce, but they're just getting people earlier in the process, getting their name out there, thinking of a tool that applies to like a broader audience, and then starting the conversation that way. It's almost this tool is now. You talk about traffic, pieces of the tool, and then that kind of like feeds into the app. They're providing value to people.
Another one, Salesforce Perdot, same sort of thing, very similar. They have this deal calculator. They apparently have other tools as well. But if you're using for Salesforce, this could be a little tool. It serves as, again, an email harvesting device, right? Early, top of the funnel type stuff. I think that these tools, because they're often useful, they're a quick solution. They can they can get you backlinks, provide value, introduce people to your product. So as you can see, I'm a big fan of these.
And also some people just choose like a calculator or whatnot, or maybe it's like a salary calculator. So you can almost provide like this widget that people can put on their site. You can build them link back as well, so you can provide direct traffic kind of help with SEO as well.
This is you can't see it from the screen here, but this is Segment.io. They were an analytics tool, also a very, very crowded space. Also takes a lot to educate users there. Analytics can be kind of tough. And so they did, instead of doing a bunch of blog posts, they did an academy. What's an academy? In this case, it's a drip email campaign, right? You sign up and every day you get a lesson on analytics, right? Pretty clever, I think. Very easy to do, right? You just need a nice landing page. Again, make sure that you're, right, so they have this whole Analytics Academy, bite-sized lessons to make you an Analytics Pro. Some nice copy there. I think it's a very useful model to follow.
And then also to jump on that real quick, so like, again, they could
Moz as this big SEO tool play. They have a bunch of paid tools. They also have a bunch of free tools. So Open Site Explorer, Follower Wonk, Mozbar, Mozlocal, Mozcast. They do a ton of really good content. Actually, Rand Fishkin, who's the founder and CEO, is really good at content marketing. He really is like a master. One of the people who really understands this. Like he does these webcasts that are full of great SEO tips and hacks. Again, top of the funnel marketing, getting people familiar with the tool, building trust, building rapport, and then saying, hey, like you already use this great free tool, why wouldn't you use this paid one? This one I like too. So this is Buffer. You guys familiar with Buffer? Startup, very popular startup. Joel, the founder, has really done an amazing job with this radical transparency. So he's all about radical transparency. How much money he makes, how much money his co-founder makes, how much money the coders make, how much revenue the company makes, how much money they raise, what terms they raise the money on, right? Why are they doing this? It's a way to differentiate marketing-wise from not only who they hire, but also who they sell to, right? So they've developed a sort of cult-like following around this. Other companies have actually copied this radical transparency as a means of differentiation. And so one of the things they wanted to do, they're a social media sharing app. So you schedule some content. So I want to push out some content about growth hacking on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Google+. So these guys have a cold start problem. Like, how do you do this? Right? People are already using Hootsuite, and there's Twitter and Facebook, et cetera. So these guys did something pretty clever, I think. They went and bought an existing sharing tool, sharing plugin on WordPress. So Dig is a commonly used, pretty popular sharing plugin on WordPress. It's free. Casey and I've used it many times. You just install it, and then all of a sudden you have a little pop-up bar, and then people start sharing stuff. Well, Buffer bought them, kept it free, but then inserted them themselves as one of the default sharing options. So if you have some money, you can do that. This method actually I think can be used for quite a bit of things. There's lots of little websites or little tools, little things, little properties out there where someone spun it up. Maybe they make $50 a month on it, like Casey mentioned earlier with one of the sites. You make $50 a month on it, and you say, look, I'll either buy it from you or we'll do a partnership. And I'll pay you more. It's more meaningful to you. And most of the time, they just did it for fun. I think there's a lot of you can do a lot of that. It's almost like a mini acquisition, right? We did a giveaway, obviously. So we wanted to get more people talking about this, more people sharing. We also want to get more email addresses. So we guys did a giveaway. Did anyone participate in the giveaway in this? Okay. So the giveaway worked quite well. One of the tools we used was King Sumo. There's lots of tools actually out there. We used one in Rafflecopter one time for paleo hacks. And we drove a lot of traffic, and that one crushed. I mean, we got in 2 days, we got 10,000 email addresses, new email addresses. So they're all sort of the same. You got some digital product, raffle, you ask them to share, or you highly suggest they share, and then people tend to share, and it can be helpful.
Something to touch on here. Sorry if you were going to.
No worries.
But with like these giveaways, because people have been saying giveaways forever, but it's focusing on what you're actually providing for people. So one, it didn't cost us anything to give away, the bonuses and one free ticket is just another share. But a lot of times, especially years ago, you'd see people do giveaways of with iPads. But the problem there, we did this with Maple, it actually worked pretty well for us. But we give away an iPad, everybody wants an iPad. Like I want an iPad, you probably want a free iPad, my mom wants a free iPad. You know what my mom doesn't want? An online project management solution. But she'll enter the giveaway, and especially even like the Facebook when the giveaways go more viral, everybody under the sun would register for the giveaway, but we weren't getting the right email address. We weren't tracking the right type of people. And for instance, in this case, it's a free ticket to the event in Dublin. So I'm assuming you live in or near Dublin, or else why would you care? And also we're giving away free software bonuses and free digital books in the marketing and kind of lean startup space. So again,
This is a fun one. Friend of ours, really pretty talented growth hacker guy. He showed us a few years back. He showed us this cool quiz that was going viral on Facebook. It was "How hipster are you?" And it was this quiz about hipster, and we immediately, like Casey and I played with it for 10 seconds. We immediately recognized it was like amazing email harvesting device. And so we're like, okay, this is gonna be great. So we did our version of it. How paleo are you? And there's actually some interesting stuff going on here. It's not just a quiz. It's actually hard to do good quizzes. First off, the thing with community, so Paleo Hacks is a massive community site. If you have a community site, there's something you should know, okay? People pretend that they have functional reasons for being part of a community. So like Quora or Stack Overflow or any community site, it's like, okay, well, I'm part of the community. I want to ask questions and solve problems, right? Those are very superficial reasons in the sense of superficial. That's why they pretend they're doing it. What they really want, what they cannot articulate, but they really want, they want tribal community. And they want to nerd out about the things that unite the tribe. So often there's like a common enemy. In this paleo space, for example, vegans are the enemy, right? It's stupid, but we're dealing with humans here, okay? Same thing with like when we were doing, when we were producing content for our Facebook feed for the Paleo Hacks, we were doing like cool recipes. Like here's a cool, salmon salad, that's paleo. Here's a coconut thing, that's paleo. And like don't get me wrong, for a while we were getting a lot of likes and a lot of shares. But then again, like we get lazy or we knew that like Ryan Gosling meme would work. It was kind of bad because we're like, oh, should we do it? Like we don't really want to do this. Screw it, let's do it. We need 1,000 likes. And like get Ryan Gosling and you get the, hey girl, like don't eat bread, right? And then like cut to 3,000 likes later, right? The lesson for you guys is look beyond, when you like engage your community, look beyond sort of the very functional things that you think they often want to sort of unite the tribe, right? Common enemy, feel good together, inside jokes. Make sense? So when we decided to build this email harvesting device, that's what we kept in mind, right? What are the inside jokes? What are the things that people have? What makes them want to share this thing? So the way you got to the site, we drive traffic to it, and the first thing we asked you to do is log in using Facebook. And if you didn't, then like you didn't have to log in, but then you couldn't get access. Anyone know why we did that? What's that? Email, exactly. Like right away you logged in, we got your email. Bang. Mission completed. Then this secondary objective, which is to get you to share, which actually get you through this thing, push you through the quiz, and then get you to share. And so we had this, so what we did here is actually the images, you'll see in a second, the images change, right? So this novelty, the images are funny, they change. We got what we think is funny text, and then we got this progress meter. So you're sort of reduces risk, right? We're gonna walk you through this thing. It won't be that long. It'll be funny, and we'll entertain you. So like the question here. So we have this like kind of dorky looking guy flexing. Says, "What does your mom think paleo is?" Right? And option A, your new cute Spanish friend. No one actually laughs at that. I think it's so funny, actually. The Geico caveman. Geico is an insurance company in the United States. They use a caveman in their commercials. 3, meat-eating hippies. That's actually a phrase that paleo people would use about themselves, right? If you're in the paleo community, and in case you alluded to this earlier, I knew this because I eat paleo, or I used to eat paleo. Meat-eating hippies was like sort of unifying term, right? So you see that on the page, like, oh, he's talking about me, right? Every community has this, whether it's a programming language or some diet and fitness, right? So like, who do the Ruby people hate? The Ruby people hate like PHP, right? And the PHP people hate the Ruby people. Last one, she excitedly funnels tiger blood down your throat in Thanksgiving. Tiger blood was a reference to Charlie Sheen, who had gone crazy on Twitter. I don't know if you guys remember that. Anyway. Then this is like another question. How do you prefer, right? This is like the super gross guy. He's like licking his lips, looking at some organs. Again, Casey and I think this is hilarious. Nobody in Europe has laughed yet at this. How do you prefer your meat? The first option is the exact opposite of what they would say, right? So it's double veggie burger with a soy pretzel bread bun, right? That's like if you're eating paleo, you would like never choose that. again, I take another corn dog, but hold the ketchup. That's also funny because they wouldn't actually eat a corn dog. Then you get closer, rare grass-fed ribeye wrapped in bacon, or freshly killed venison still dripping in blood in the meadow where I shot it with my bow, right? And then you got this page here. This then was like this semi-custom infographic where we took your name, because you had logged in from Facebook, we took your name. So we had built this guy here. So we had like a few different outcomes. If you're very paleo, sort of middle of the road paleo, or not paleo at all. So this guy was also one of the guys in our quiz. We know Casey's name because we use Facebook login. So then we just wrote this little script that would take that image and put the user's name in there. So Casey Armstrong is noob paleo. Are you? The funny picture, his score, Casey Armstrong score, just got on the bandwagon, 42%, and a prompt to share, right? Share on Facebook, share on Twitter. Since we're using single sign-on, it's a one-click share, basically, right? Again, we use this as an email harvesting device around these themes of uniting the tribe, being funny, being cool. I think it works really well. At the time, I don't know what Facebook's done to the algorithm lately. I'm not up to date. Yeah. And it fucking works. A few $100. Yeah. A few $100 wasn't that expensive. The hard part is actually writing stuff that's funny for the community. You actually have to think about that, and like you want to outsource it. You're like, okay, find someone who's funny and like write funny stuff for me, and they can't do it. It's actually, you have to think about this. But the gentleman's point is right, though. This may not work anymore. But this is when you run across quizzes, they just want your email address if you did one. I don't. We built this one.
It was like, we just said we had Odesk. I think Odesk is now called like Upwork. But we just try to find like these developers that can do certain things. We always talk about treating, I feel like so many people treat their freelancers poorly. So if you find some freelancers that do some things quite well, whether website development, design, content, treat them like a human as you should. Staying engaged with them. So you keep using them over and over. Hopefully we call like our stable of people that can do a handful of things. Getting very specific on what you need to there's often a lot of people out there.
The quiz tool question is interesting too, because there are quiz tools out there, and I saw someone else that tried to do like a paleo quiz. The problem is they're just they're just like a multiple choice test. They don't feel fun. We made sure, like a lot of the entertainment value in this is like the guy slides out of the way and the meter changes, right? So you had to write some scripting to do that. So it can't just be, if it's multiple choice, it feels like multiple choice. It doesn't feel like fun, right? But if it's like, we surprise you from the dorky guy to this guy, right? That's like, I've just entertained you, right? And I just don't think there's enough business there for anyone to do like a super great quiz tool that makes, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
Often do something, just look at the source code to see what people are using. I do that often. I'm like, oh, it's an awesome plugin. Or like, this is a cool quiz. And then just, kind of go to the source code and try to find out what software they're using.
Sorry to be a salesman, but you're serving any place and you can do this without a tool.
Great. What's the name? We can sell. Stand up. You have to sell now. Stand up.
Survey any place, surveyanyplace.com.
Serve any.
Survey any place. It's
Survey.
okay, but this is a quiz, we know that.
Oh, yeah.
You can still do that.
Surveyanyplace.com.
But the outcomes functionality is
Yeah.
not yet released.
Okay.
It's in early stage. Just send us an email.
Why don't you give your personal email address, and that maybe they'll send it to you.
Difficult Octavian, OCTAVIAN, at surveyanyplace.com. Sorry for selling.
No, sell. Don't apologize. Sell these guys. Sell these fuckers. Good. I like it. Another. Sit up. You gotta. Which one? Typeform. Another survey tool. It's sort of the new kid on the block. Could work too. Here's a little fun one we want to give you. This is super easy. Okay. Often you send people to your YouTube page, right? They land on the YouTube page. There's like a zillion videos there. There's a zillion videos that they could watch a video. They could watch your competitor's video. They could go watch kittens, whatever. What you can do right now, I still believe this is true. You can append this to the URL that you're sending them to, and when they land on your YouTube page, they see the subscription modal. Everyone follow what I just said? This is super simple. Yeah, so they have to either exit out or subscribe, right? Very simple, tiniest little, super little hack. But if you're sending traffic to your YouTube page, you know, who knows how many people are like, oh, kittens, like, and forgot all about you. This way, like, the chance that they subscribe is significantly higher. All you have to do is append this to the URL. And this is something probably YouTube's promoting, right? They want you to do this. They want more engagement on their platform. This is not rocket science, but helpful, I think. This is a fun one. So this is one Casey did. So often, right, when you get people to sign up to your list, you have double opt-in, right? So that like you sign up to a list, then you get an email from the email service provider, the ESP, saying, did you really sign up for this thing, right? Yes or no, right? So you've already signed up, but they want to make sure that that someone, like a friend of yours, didn't sign you up, and so they go yes or no. And often some people are like they forget, or they're like, nope, I didn't really sign up, and they sign up and they've just unsubscribed. Casey's little hack is what you do is in that opt-in confirmation email, you put a bunch of cool content, a funny story, pictures, whatever the fuck you want, and you push that little button down to the bottom where nobody sees it.
And also, so I'm going to speak now. Also, you are providing value to them. So instead of just hitting them with this big unsubscribe button, which people often click, I mean, you know, years ago it might be cool to sign up for some lists because you got some emails and you got none before. But now we're all inundated with way too much. So here again, pulling them, creating the story, trying to provide value to them so that if they do get all the way down to the unsubscribe button, you know, they're much less inclined to click that because they actually see what they can get from your newsletter. Another thing I do sometimes if I guess I'm feeling a bit lazy is I try to provide some value really quickly at the top, and then I'll hold the enter button for a while and move it way down there. But you know, if you can actually provide more value, that often works better. But you know, just get that unsubscribe button down as far as possible.
Again, something that we talked about earlier in the day, in the morning, one thing we think about too is like get people to reply to you. Even though you may think it's unscalable, most of you probably don't have enough traffic that it's a problem, right? So when someone signs up, give them a reason to reply to you. Like in Superpower, we'd let people know, like, you have a problem with their SDK, you reply to this email, you get both founders, and we'll help you with your problem. The reason why, I want to make sure I have satisfied customers, that I'm actually fulfilling my promises. And two is I know it helps my email deliverability rates. Like once they've replied, Gmail notices, right? It goes, okay, this person replied. It's unlikely this is spam, right? So don't like, especially if you're small, do not reply at insert your startup, right? Hello at insert your startup, or please do reply, right? Engage with people. Gmail and other email providers are looking for those signals.
I think people are pretty surprised too when you do reply. Like the example I gave earlier with the word game site, I asked people to reply, and for that week, because basically I wanted to create that so I could automate the entire email flow. So I had to do basically zero work, which is what I do now on it. But I would reply to everybody, and people would often be pretty shocked. And most of those people bought also, because they'd be like, you know, they'd reply with something or they'd thank me, and then I'd, you know, just even if it's like something very small, like thanking them for reaching out or glad you could help. A lot of these people, you know, they were very like surprised and glad that there was actually somebody on the other end, because oftentimes you get these newsletters and you think it's just like a computer basically sending them out. So you know, just continuing the conversation.
Also, go ahead.
Follow us and they send us a direct message, just
Yeah.
and some of them become ambassadors.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a friend of ours, he's got this like he's got his Twitter following and it's super automated and he like never actually responds to anyone ever. And it's like, ugh, like he's scaled so well, but people notice that like it's just pushing like content all the time, right? So you don't definitely want to do that. Another thing also interesting, if anyone who's done email marketing probably knows this, often you'll email people and you get like, email, let's say 100,000 people or whatever, it doesn't matter. And you get like an angry reply back, okay? Don't like let that deter you. That angry reply, I've seen this now thousands and thousands of times, has nothing to do with you, has everything to do with themselves. Often like the angry reply person, it's like a child. It's literally like my daughter, she like kick her brother so that I yell at her, right? Anyone who has kids knows what I'm talking about. And so you get the angry reply and they're like, stop spamming me. And like, like they've been on your list for like 6 months. They love, like you've seen all their opens, right? You can check and you're like, hey, sorry about that. You want me to unsubscribe you? And they're like, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. I didn't know anyone was there. I thought you were just a bot. Like, and a lot of times when people reply indignant, I see this, I don't know what it is about email, but there's something, they're having a bad day. It's literally all they want you to do is give them a hug and like tell them it's okay. And like you're paying attention to them, okay? If I've learned anything about email marketing, it's that. And so sometimes people go, oh man, I sent email out to like 20,000 people and 5 people like said they hated me and then like they get bummed. But what about like the 19,995 people who loved your email, right? I think we talked a little bit about paleo. So this is paleo hack. So again, I actually think communities, one of the interesting things about communities is they're very hard to replicate. Right? So if let's say you have a technology product, at some level, all technology, given enough time and money, can be imitated or copied, but communities are really, really hard. So they can help you form a moat against your competition, right? So let's say you have you're in a crowded space. This is why the marketing people do this. Like the marketing automation people all try to do this because they're good at marketing and community. But one of the things you guys could do is you have whether you're serving accountants, whether you're serving bankers, what have you, you can build some community, get some traction there, talking about topics related to what you're doing. If that works, that can be significant differentiation, right? You can shape the conversation. You can pick the enemies of the tribe. And again, you have a lot of traffic. People really notice, they get jealous, and it really can serve as a differentiating factor between you and your competition. That said, it's not easy to build community. Growth hacking, we talked about these guys. Anything else here? So yeah, these are just examples, right? So growth hackers, they have this community, right? Then inbound.org, it's another, this is actually founded by Rand and Dharmesh. Rand is the founder of Moz, Dharmesh is the founder of HubSpot. And they also understand the value of community in terms of driving traffic, shaping the conversation, all that. Good tool. Okay, here's one. Find your competitors' customers, right? So you have a product you want to sell. Let's say you have an e-commerce product and you know that you're way better than Shopify. Well, who's using Shopify? Well, what you could do is you could scrape the web, write a scraper yourself and just like let it loose and hopefully it comes back with data. Or you can use like built with or nerdy data. Those are 2 of them. They've already scraped the web and they parse the code on web pages and they look for like JavaScript like Kissmetrics or Shopify or the thousands of web apps out there. They aggregate that, then you can buy it. Right? So like this here, we did a Shopify search and then it says here, download lead list, get a list of 100,000 live websites using Shopify. Includes location information, hosting data, contact details, an additional 37,000 sites that have used this technology in the past. There's also a new startup in Silicon Valley that's doing this for apps too, believe it or not. I was very skeptical at first. Then I talked to the founder and he convinced me of how he's doing it. And I forget the name of their company, but you can do this for apps too. So like you're selling to app developers, an SDK, like which I'm doing, for example, you can figure out which SDKs they're already using and then target those people. Nerdy data, similar. Very similar. Another thing you can do too, right, is you can, I've done this actually pretty well. I looked at like the backlink structure of what I perceive as my competitors, and then I've contacted those people. So someone asked me a link building question, right? So someone, like how do I get more links? One thing I have done is looked at my competitors, seen what backlinks they have, and then seen which of those sites would have interest in linking back to me. So for example, there's a site that had to do with digital signal processing on audio and mobile on audio, sort of a general purpose interest site, and I noticed they had 4 links back to my competitors. Said, hey there, I think his name is Martin. Hey Martin, just to let you know, I have a product that's very similar to what you talk about here. I think you'd love it. And he put me right on that page and got some great links back, right? That was actually very high value add, right? It wasn't skeezy, it was me reaching out personally. It wasn't through like a third-party email address. You can use Nerdy Data for that. You can probably use SEMrush for that as well. Anything else you can use Nerdy Data for that we haven't talked about? No?
Things like BuildWith has like specific tools. Like there's like a WordPress plugin or whatnot, and you're trying to target those people. You just need to find like the common JavaScript or code that the people will have on their site. And you can plug it in there, and then Nerdy Data, in theory, will like provide the results of the pages that might be using that plugin or that software.
Kimono, I think that's another scraping tool I think we mentioned earlier. Here you can see that, this is actually interesting too. GitHub, for example, if anyone's targeting developers, right now GitHub, I think the default option is that person's email address is exposed. Right, so if you have a developer tool, and let's say it's around, I don't know, Rails, do a search for Rails and see what comes up, see what kind of repositories they're searching, and then scrape their email addresses. Import.io, similar, right? Another. Are they Dutch, Peter?
Yes.
From London? British. Okay. Another screen web scraping tool used before. Again, for me, this is relevant for me. You can see like on who's following which project, who's watching it, who started it, who's forked it, and then go find those people. What was the story on this one? Oh, okay, yeah. So this is another one, right? So this Dude Perfect, he has some app. It's actually doing really well. And then if you actually look down here, you actually have a lot of information, actually, right? So you got roughly how many installs, et cetera, but you also have contact information right there. And an address.
Yeah, point being is there's a lot of places where there is public contact information, so you might not be targeting like sports app creators on Google Play, but here's an example of the data being public, and so a lot of times that will be out there, and then just crafting your message so you're not spamming them, but reaching out to these people.
Talked about Reportive, Connectifier, thing here, Popups. Okay, so Popups. Who hates pop-ups on the web? Everyone, right? Good. So do I, yet they work, right? So this is a project Casey worked on, and you can see the trajectory of sort of how they were growing the lead list. They instituted pop-ups and then went like this, right? So everyone claims they hate them, yet everyone continues to sign up. Odd, but so human. And then in this case, actually, Qualaroo turned out to be a really good tool because they had a pop-up that did really well on mobile, right? It didn't distort. It didn't get weird. It like popped up perfectly. It was easy for people to X through. And so we used this tool with great success. We liked it. There's probably a lot of, what's that? Qualaroo, Q-U-A-L. But there's literally probably thousands of pop-up tools out there. Pop-up domination, Fancybox, Qualaroo. Yeah, this is mobile. No, this is mobile, and for us, we had we were getting a lot of traffic on mobile, and we weren't capturing those leads, and then so we did this whole thing. Do you want your paleo cookbook, et cetera, with a mobile pop-up, right? So if you have a lot of mobile traffic, you should look at a tool like this.
And they do web as well, but we used something else for the web that was working well. We just thought that this, like with Qualaroo and a lot of these others, you can segment like the traffic that you might be using that pop-up with, or something like that. And so we use just Qualaroo in this instance, just on mobile, because it was a better user experience.
There's, I'm trying to remember, there's some guys a year or two ago, I looked at some, they were doing some like customer service type in-app chat stuff. I'm trying to remember, what's that? No, but there was a mobile version, like Intercom, a mobile, and a lot of people were using that tool to pop people in the app. What's that? Fire hose? I don't know. I don't remember. I remember, but the point is that these tools exist for actual apps as well. Usually, there's usually like a generation behind. Here, this is which one? What's that? SumoMe, and again another one. So this is actually interesting. So, and Peter was talking about this at dinner. We had dinner with Peter and his friends the other night. Slack is emerging as this like new channel. I'm a little baffled by it because I'm like, oh, this is like IRC or HipChat, and like I'm not that excited. Yet, people are flocking to Slack. Slack is blowing up. The founder himself of Slack has said, he's like, I don't know why we're blowing up, but we're blowing up. And so you're seeing people more and more experiment with private Slack groups. And Peter was telling us that some of his projects, it works really well, right? So this has been a sort of on my to-do list, is create a private Slack group for the people for Superpowered, see if that works, see if that people will join, will engage. This may be a good tool, right? It's pretty low cost, right? Just throw a link up there, get some people start engaging. But for some reason, Slack has caught the imagination of the tech. What? Yeah. They recently just did it. Yeah. Actually, I use it. It's funny. So he's saying animated GIFs are one of the reasons why it's popular. Actually, I use animated GIFs in my emails for Superpowered because it helps hold people's attention. Why? Because it's shiny and it's moving.
The other reason is that it's concurrent on mobile and on the web, so
Uh-huh.
it doesn't matter where you're using it.
Right.
And if you use Skype, it sucks.
Yeah.
Skype is on the desktop, and Slack has search. So it's centralized all the information. Skype doesn't work when
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, to me, look, I wish them all the best. I don't know, but to me, it looked like a better version of HipChat. And I personally didn't like HipChat that much, but some people love it. Some people are like, oh, I hate email. I only do HipChat. But maybe I'm the idiot because I get 100 emails every day. So maybe I should just make, oh, find me on Slack or don't find me at all. This is a funny one. So these guys just did a movie called Unfinished Business. Casey and I tried watching it the other day. We didn't think it was funny at all. And one of our friends was like, oh, you gotta watch this movie. And one of the things they did, right, they're sort of making fun of corporate culture in this movie. And apparently they went out and got stock photography and then inserted themselves into it, right? And then like, oh, we're making the stock photography free. So like this lady here is actually part of a stock photo. And then they took pictures of the two actors, Vince Vaughn and James Franco's little brother. What's his name? I don't even know his name. James Franco's little brother, and they put him in there, so it's again like you can see the face that Vince Vaughn's making. They're trying to do this thing, and so this is content that the web wants to talk about, et cetera, right? Casey, you want to talk about how to grow reviews?
Yeah. So in this instance, it's trying to like find the right people to submit reviews. Like with Mavenlink, for instance, we never said like, hey, we'll pay for you to like leave us a 5-star review. That violates all the terms and services, and it's quite unethical. But it's trying to find I'm sure you see this in your app, whether it's on iOS or Android, and you try to trigger and message people at the right time after they've been engaged. So in this instance, we try to find people that were active, like pretty much every day for like several weeks, because if they were doing that, they were very likely to like our product, and then there try to find ways, painless ways for them to leave a review. And again, we never said like leave us a 5-star review. Is often like, hey, would you mind reviewing us here? But again, it's like segmenting the right people versus, you know, everybody under the sun, because a lot of people will try your app and then they just leave, or maybe they don't like it.
This is interesting. We did a virtual summit. I think you're going to see a lot more of these, right? So instead of doing a conference in a physical space, we did one on the internet for PaleoCon, where we got these people in the paleosphere to talk about different aspects. So you got Dave Asprey here. You guys may have heard of him, Bulletproof Diet. Is that big here yet or not? No, not yet. So Europe, hold on to your pants. You're going to hear about the Bulletproof Diet soon. This guy is the guy behind it. It's like the latest, coolest biohacking diet thing in the United States. Julie Fouché talking about CrossFit and women in sports. John Duran had written a book about paleo. Anyhow, had this cool content here. And then all these people are influencers. They all have their own sort of small tribe. And they want to be seen with other influencers. And we built a bunch of great content. We recorded their thoughts. And then actually gave it away free to our list. So we said, look, we got this great content. It's going to be a paleo summit, a paleo conference. All these different aspects about the paleo diet, things how to improve, how to hack it, how to do certain exercises, et cetera, and you can watch it for free. And you could. But we had so much good content that then we did an affiliate marketing deal where if a affiliate sent this to their list, we would pay them a percentage of the sales. And then, by the way, scarcity, this is back to scarcity, this is only online for a week. And after a week, we're taking it offline and nobody gets access to it. And what do you think happened to sales when we did that? They went up, right? So scarcity works. I expect you're going to see more and more of things like this on the web. Like it used to be just sort of like very skeezy, very aggressive, get rich quick schemes or just kind of bullshit. The other day, I saw a affiliate info product where Dustin Hoffman, the actor, is teaching you how to act for $100. You can download a video course, and Dustin Hoffman has 10 hours of his acting lessons for you. That's pretty interesting, I think, right? Watching it go from weird, gross stuff on the internet to Dustin Hoffman. So this is interesting. This is Stripe with Airbnb. Shopify. Stripe had integrated with Shopify and shows their growth since. By the way, so one of the slides I skipped over in my partnership piece early on was a slide of a checkout screen. There's a checkout screen, and the company is called Telestream, and they build video editing software. It's like $100, really good software. Everyone uses it. One of my friends had this interesting partnership where he actually built a digital asset library. So a bunch of movements, like say a hand going over an iPad, or just a bunch of digital assets that you would use to build a cool video. And he pitched him. He's like, look, I got this digital asset library. Why don't we put it in your checkout stream? And anyone who upgrades to it will split the revenue 50-50, right? This is like a great partnership, right? Whereas they have a shared audience. A lot of people, especially on the corporate side, are buying Telestream to start video editing. Often they're beginners, and if they just download Telestream, there's no assets for them to manipulate. They don't know what to do, and they go out looking for assets to manipulate, right? This way, they got an upsell that also serve their interests. So that's a very simple sort of digital partnership that he did. So if you have any product like that, it can be very helpful. Another one, Unbounce and Kissmetrics. Unbounce is a landing page testing tool by a bunch of guys in Vancouver. And then Kissmetrics is an analytics tool, and they're also really good at content marketing. They teamed up together and did this, what they call an action kit, containing everything you need to know about effective landing pages. Get the action kit by email, plus receive daily marketing advice from Kissmetrics. Right? So they're trying to combine the content marketing power of those two entities to grow their respective lists. Does anyone not know the Airbnb Craigslist hack? It's okay if you don't, by the way. Raise your hand if you do not know what this means. Okay. real quick, just so you know, this is just a little education here. This is like the Uber hack. This is the person who invented this for the rest of his life will drink for free in the Silicon Valley. Okay? When people talk about growth hacking, they reference this thing. This is the Bible. This is what people talk about. This is what it's like legendary status. What had happened is Craigslist is a classified ad site in the United States. Very, very popular. Every city has its own local Craigslist. So if you live in Austin, Texas, you go there to sell your bike or find an apartment to rent or a room to rent or sell your car online. San Francisco has a very active one. That's where it started by a developer named Craig Newark, I think. Still around. It's also known to be hideous. Like the UI and the UX is like terrible. It's terrible, right? Yet it works, gets tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of traffic. It's valued at like gazillions of dollars and it has like 4 employees, right? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but really, anyhow, one of the things that people do there is they rent each other apartments, right? So like I sign up or they have like a vacation rental and they have a lot of traffic. So Airbnb was trying to grow their business and they developed like the Uber growth hack that helped sort of really put growth hacking on the map for a lot of people. And the reaction to this is going to tell you, like, there's a really interesting reaction when this growth hack emerged and was written about it. People reacted one of 2 ways. One was like, this is terrible, like no one should ever do this. This is like a terrible marketing and it's aggressive and weird and like these guys should be punished. Or people like me were like, holy fuck, these guys are geniuses. And so what happened is they wanted to literally rip the users that were sitting on Craigslist over to Airbnb. And what they did is they put up fake listings, right? So like programmatically and at scale, right? So it wasn't just like one person doing this. There's probably many people, or they use bots to do it, where they would put up a thing like, okay, I have a flat to rent in Amsterdam for $100 a night during June. And then this guy right here would like see the listing on Craigslist. He would assume it's real, it was made to look real, and be like, okay, I'd love to rent that. Can you tell me more information? And then a bot would respond to him, but he didn't know it was a bot, right? And it would come from like a Yahoo address or something, and be like, "Hey, thanks for the inquiry. I've already let it out. I won't be available. But by the way, there's other site called Airbnb. I have some more listings over there." Right? So they did sort of variations of that, right? This is clearly sort of in violation of Craigslist's terms of service. Craigslist it's not in their interest to have anyone doing fake listings, number one, and 2, using fake listings to take people from their site to Airbnb. Another thing they were doing like here is they had this post to Craigslist button. So if you're on Airbnb, not only did you put your site up on Craigslist, you could also post it to Craigslist automatically as well. Again, trying to drive people over to Airbnb. Craigslist didn't think kindly of this. They thought it was in violation of the terms of service, and they disallowed it. But it was really wonderful for Airbnb. They grew very well, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's sort of genius. But this is sort of the Uber hack of hacks that everybody talks about when they talk about this. So now you know. Here's a good one too. This is Mechanical Turk plus the Google News API. So this can work if you're trying to reach out to the press. So what you can do is search in Google News. There's actually there's software that helps you do this. You want to go through this one?
Yeah, there's a blog post that kind of covers some of this. You can use Connectify or something and find my email and ask me for the link and send it to you. But basically, mturk is this marketplace for cheap small tasks. And in this case, you're trying to find out a lot of people that might be interested in like writing about your startup. So you can use something like Google News, search Google News, and then you create like these very cheap small tasks on mturk where people need to, click on the link, find who the author is, find their email address. And again, you don't want to do that for like, this also can be done for like link building outreach. You don't want to do that for like 100 or 1,000 sites. You can use something like mturk or Odesk, but mturk works well in this case, where people are doing a lot of like high volume tasks that are very simple, and you can kind of lay out how to do it and do it more at scale. Again, you don't want to spend like an entire day or a week finding these email addresses. So you can. I think we did this actually for Superpower to find people that were writing about like Android audio and iOS audio, and I think we got like 500 very targeted people for like $60 or something. Again, that's much better than spending an entire day working on something like this.
I think Casey covered a little bit about this, but this seems to be work well for paid marketing. Is there's events in-person events happening in Meet Space all the time about topics and subjects that your product has to deal with. Why not hijack their hashtag if they have one? Right? Probably not a lot of volume there, but might be a prudent use of funds. And I hear more and more about people doing this. Right? And sometimes conference organizers get a little upset. Right? Everyone know how to do this one? I think it's pretty simple. Email newsletters that seem to do well. Some they get a little bit more expensive. A hack I heard about this, by the way, a friend of mine shared with me. I don't know if it works. I haven't done it. Is you go to some of these email newsletters, especially the big ones. You're like, I don't want to advertise in your newsletter, but I do want to advertise on your unsubscribe page. So when someone unsubscribed, they see an ad for my product. Supposedly works great. I haven't done it, so I don't know. Certainly creative though. This is buysell.ads.com. If you can do paid, you can do very niche sites. So it tells you like GigaOM is getting 7 million monthly impressions, while other sites, Laughing Squid getting 3 million, et cetera, et cetera. You can do some media buys here. You did this for Loggly?
Just a little bit. It's just another place to find potential kind of low-hanging fruit. Like this doesn't scale that well, but again, if you're trying to find like a very niche audience, there's some different marketplaces. This is again called buy sell ads. There's others. If you're really targeting like a specific person, like we always get to like segmenting. You want to find like very specific people, and I found targeting these opportunities can work pretty well. If it's kind of like, anybody use if this and that? Yeah, so again, it's kind of connecting different products together. Like, for instance, let's say, you're running your company's Twitter handle, but you don't want to continuously find like interesting stuff. You can get somebody's RSS feed through if for free, plug it into Buffer, and so it will create this like queue of tweets that are valuable to your customers, and kind of automate that so every single day you're not like messing around on Twitter, or every couple hours you're tweeting something else out, and just kind of automating that process. And there's a ton of different examples that they call them recipes, that you can just come up with some different marketing ideas.
Let's skip that one. Lead-in is actually a nice little tool for WordPress. I use it all the time. All it does is intercept the data. It tracks someone on your website, and then when they submit a form, it lets you know, and it tells you what pages they looked on your website. So it's sort of lightweight analytics. Sometimes it'll even tell you the source, but it's rare because Google hides that from you and me, unfortunately. It's a free tool, and often can be very helpful when you get a lead. What were they actually doing before they submitted? Which usually tells you what they're interested in. Also, they also give you sometimes social data. So, like, they'll give you the person's email. You already have the email address, but they'll give you their person's associated Twitter account or in Facebook or what have you sometimes. We had one customer actually that was trying to get trying to be weird with us, and then we had interacted with them. Everything's fine, and then somebody downloads our stuff and sends us an email, and then asks this really weird question. He's like, "Oh, I'd like to see your source," but he didn't really specify. It was just, he phrased it in a weird way. So then, looking at LinkedIn, I went back and checked found him. It turns out he worked for this company that we've been talking with a week ago, but he was trying to use a private email to hide, actually. So that worked out pretty good, and so I called him out on that. Hello Bar. You want to talk about this one?
Sure, I'll just steal that real quick. So a lot of things we talked about, and what a lot of people focus on is acquisition, kind of top of the funnel, but then people will neglect keeping people in their product. There's all those video apps that kind of blew up on Facebook, but they couldn't retain any users. They couldn't retain their customers because their app kind of sucked, and so they would just churn and crash and burn. Maybe they'd raise some money because they could get show this crazy growth, but nobody stuck. Nobody stayed with the product, and so you need to look further down the funnel. Like a lot of times, you might not have an acquisition problem. You need to get people to use the product. And sometimes you can give people a taste of what that product looks like. And so I have just 2 examples here that are quite interesting, and I think can be used for quite a few products. So like with Hello Bar, again, not everybody wants to sign up immediately. Not everybody wants to give their email address or validate through like single sign-on and whatnot. So what they do is they just ask for your URL. And then you can plug it in, because again, you're there to do something. You want Hello Bar. Hello Bar it can be used to email capture or to push people to certain pages on your site. It's just like a little drop down from the top. So you come here and you put in your URL. What's the harm in that? And then here they ask you select your goal. So they're getting you to like commit to something. Okay, you're there to drive traffic. Maybe you're there to collect email. Again, you want their product to do this, so why wouldn't you click that? Select this goal. You're committing that you want to collect email. And so here, then they just basically reuse the content that they're providing you. Where do you want to store the emails we collect? In the background, it's kind of blurred out. In the background, you can see this is Hello Bar. This is my website in the back. It's kind of like, why when you go to a car dealer, they let you do a test drive. Here I can see their product on my site. There's some more ownership. And again, I haven't given them my email address or anything, but then they just reiterate exactly what I set my goal to be. Where do you want to store the emails we collect? So of course I'm going to give them my email address. And again, it's just give you more value and kind of show you the product before you ask for something in return. And Duolingo does this quite well also. They're basically a tool to help teach you foreign languages. I probably should have spent some more time on it, maybe before coming here, so I could say more than Prost. But anyways, so here it's like learn a language forever for free. Okay, a very simple call to action. This actually I got from a site called useronboard.com, run by Samuel Hulick. I highly recommend checking it out. And so it's like, okay, get started. There's a lot of other steps here, so I'm going to try to make it a bit more succinct. But it's like, I want to learn, X. So again, you're committing to something. You want to learn this language, that's why you're there. And you select it. I want to learn, Swedish, okay? So I click that. And again, they haven't asked me for my email or anything. There's no risk on my part. Again, they take me through multiple steps. And then I get here, choose your daily goal. So it's hard to read here, but it's like, where should we send you your tips to learn Swedish? So you've committed, you've told them, and it's much more specific to you than learn languages for free, give us your email address. Where should we send your tips on how to learn Swedish today? That's why you're there. You told them that that's what you want, and then you can put in your email address, and I guess this cool little bird starts delivering you interesting tips. Groupon's another example. So again, it's just kind of like customization. This doesn't work for every app, but like what you can see with like the Notary app, I actually did that screenshot from Madrid. If there's certain ways you can provide something more custom for your audience. So here, like if I went to Groupon, if I logged into Groupon and it said, massage in New York and half off, at this beer garden in Munich and I don't know, some free weed in Amsterdam. That doesn't apply to me if I'm living in Southern California. But like in this case, again, they're pulling everything. Get daily deals like in Orange County. Here's like a beer and music festival in Newport Beach. So they're targeting, it's much more segmented for me.
Sure. So this is actually Baremetrics. They're a product that sits on top of Stripe and does analytics for SaaS companies. And so they followed this sort of radical transparency maneuver where not only do you get to experience the product, like here's what the actual product looks like, but this is actually Baremetrics' actual revenue, right? So they're like doing this, like we eat our own dog food, plus like you can look under the kimono and you can see like their monthly recurring revenue is $29,000 a month. And they grew 5.2%. Their annual revenue per user is $84, and these are all these things it tracks. You can see the live stream, right? They just charged, they anonymized the data. They charged the company $79, charged another guy $49. Someone subscribed to the monthly plan, someone upgraded, someone downgraded, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. right? So they're really trying to send this message. A, we're open. B, here's what our product looks like. You can touch, feel it, play with it. In fact, they want you to touch it, right? So that's like, even in retail, I think that's what they want. Like when you go shopping, they want you to pick up that piece of clothing and touch it, and so that makes you want it more, right? Same sort of idea on a digital level. Again, people are also very curious, right? If you're building a SaaS app, you want to know, like, am I making more money than that guy or less money than that guy, right? Fiverr is just a fun little marketplace for little, all sorts of little things. You can use it to boost your likes if you want to buy some likes or some views, although I suspect that's getting harder. There's also all sorts of fun little some marketing hacks, like you can get a logo made that flies in and assembles itself. You can get actually good voice talent. If you ever need voice talent, you can get very cheap voice talent actually here. All sorts of fun things. I actually used it one time I needed a video for a book trailer. I didn't want to spend thousands of dollars on a book trailer, so I scripted a book trailer, and I found a guy for like a few $100. Did like a whiteboard animation for a book trailer. Actually, we put it up on a landing page, drove some traffic to it, and sold 500 books before we even started writing the book. Actually, so I call this like a psychedelic marketing wonderland. There's all sorts of goofy stuff in there. Some of it's quite stupid, but some of it's actually can be very helpful. Fiverr. Oh, this is a fun little one. So often when we survey people, as anyone who's surveyed, right, number one is like, what's in it for them? What's in it for me? Why would they actually bother filling out your survey? And then again, the more questions you have, response rates really drop off. But not only the questions, the quantity question, it's the what type of question are you asking, right? So if like you're asking things like, what's your favorite color? Do you like coffee? People aren't bothered about that. But if you're asking for personal information, people generally don't like that. And like, what's your mother's maiden name? Like, whoa, hey, easy there, right? What's interesting is sometimes even as a user, you already have this information, but people forget that you have this information and they don't respond. So a little hack sometimes what you can do is, this works between Wufoo, which is a survey tool, and MailChimp, which is an email service provider, is you can survey, so you can send an email out to your list using Wufoo. Wufoo will then pass the name and email address to the survey, pre-populate those fields, and then hide those fields from the user. So you guys understand? Does anyone not understand that? So I write an email. I have 10,000 people whose names, they've already signed up for my product. I've gotten somehow. I already have their names. I have their email addresses. I want some more information. I want them to fill out a survey for me for some reason. You can set it up, the link to your survey, you can set it up so that when you email them, the link they click on, it'll say Patrick Vlaskovitz, and then Vlaskovitz Gmail. The little trick is it pre-populates this field, so when they answer these questions, and it hides that field for them, so then I can map it to who answered my survey. Right? Also, it's good because sometimes people will abandon the survey midway. You can still sort of see, okay, I see what they were getting at. Right? Reduces friction actually pretty well. Nothing really there. These are just typical stuff like follow your friends, profile, right? They're trying to get you to follow their profile. I don't think there's anything too exciting here. LinkedIn recently did this whole thing where they're trying to get you more engagement. They're trying to probably do some SEO. People have been kind of goofing off with this. Like people have been, for a while, you used to be able to endorse, like write in a custom endorsement. And so you could be like, oh, Casey, you're the best unicycle trainer I've ever met, all right? Or something stupid. And I don't think LinkedIn liked that too much. I don't know how successful this was. But they're trying to get you to engage and share and all that. TripAdvisor. Oh, this is an interesting one. This is like a pretty good e-commerce one where they knew what hotels you were looking at. You probably abandoned it to look on another site. So let's say Kayak or many thousands of other travel sites. They hit you an email like, hey, still interested in these? Right? Like, remind you, pull you right back into their funnel. Right? It's a little more sophisticated, a little bit more software needed for that. Right? But another sort of re-engagement, pull you back in the funnel. if you're doing e-commerce, you probably should think about how to do things like this. What do we want to say on this one?
We can go to the next slide. That's Brownie Wise, like the OG growth hacker. Actually, go to the next one. Toss me that. So like the Tinder thing, is, getting somebody to take do something unique. So this is Urban Spoon, and again, it's a way to find different restaurants. And what they did is you could just shape the app. And so something similar is like with Shazam. So it's just getting somebody to take do something kind of unique to get people talking about it. So we're flying here the other day, and I guess outside of the Netherlands, Patrick and I are kind of tall. Everybody here seems to be 2 meters. Anyways, so we're in the plane, and there's some song, and Patrick liked it, and so he takes out his phone, and he's got the new iPhone, which is massive, and he's trying to use Shazam to get it. So again, there's this big guy holding this huge iPad-looking phone thing, and he's waving in the air, trying to get the frequency of the song. So again, it's just trying to think of something creative to get people to use your app. I know these guys, and I keep forgetting your tool, Survey, Anyplace. They're paying us for these plugs, by the way. What they do is interesting is for their survey, it's kind of you have to, it's like a little scratch card. So again, it's just trying to get people to do something kind of unique. So maybe the person next to you asks about it. It's kind of something to talk about. In Patrick's situation, he was basically broadcasting Shazam to every single person in the plane. Here it's just kind of like Amazon. Again, it's like what I talked about before with the upsell. If you get people to buy something, it's much easier to get them to buy more than to get somebody who's never interacted with your app before to give you their credit card.
Actually, let's go back. So these actually, the thing to learn about these, so the refer stuff, there's Brownie, by the way. Love her. Growth hacker. Refer a friend stuff, I don't see these I don't hear that these do all that well anymore, right? So the lesson learned is here, right? It worked for a while, right? I know PayPal, when they first took off, they gave you $10 if you referred a friend. Everyone tries to copy this. I don't know of anyone where it's you see the exponential growth, right? That was the whole Hotmail. That's the legendary story, right? This is 1995. I actually remember when they had billboards on Silicon Valley. I got a Hotmail address, right? My takeaway from this is that's cool, but there's this new medium that happened. People want to engage with it. This stuff doesn't seem to work anymore, or at least set your expectations correctly. Same thing with the double referral, right? For Dropbox did this. Right now, everybody does this. Again, I think it may just be sort of the cost of doing business today. I don't think you're going to see exponential growth in this sort of thing. Because sometimes I talk to startups and oh, we're going to do what Dropbox did. And it's okay, take a deep breath. You're not going to like what I have to say. I don't think it's going to work, right? Same thing with this. This is Mailbox. They were recently acquired by Dropbox. They did this sort of false scarcity thing, where they did this thing where you signed up, they would tell you how many people were in line ahead of you. It's 700,000 people in line, but you want to cheat? You want to cut line? Well, refer 5 people and we'll boost you up. So you got this kind of rat race doing this thing. I think you really have to make sure the desire, the pain is there. If you have some stupid app that nobody cares about, and they're all right. In case I mentioned that. It's interesting. We don't have any authors here, but you're seeing more and more authors in the United States where they realize that it's really hard to make money doing books, and what they do is you land on this landing page and you get a free book. All you have to pay for is shipping, and then you get put into their drip campaign, and they sell you on their video products. So this guy, Brendan Burchard, he's the new Tony Robbins in the United States. He's actually a very talented, very smart guy about inspiring you to take action, do a bunch of cool stuff. He's doing this. Other guy, Jeff Walker, also doing this. It works, actually.
The Hawaiian shirt's not included. What's interesting here, too, is instead of sending you to Amazon, for instance, he's keeping you on his site. and so he can control all the data. Now your credit card information is I think he uses like Infusionsoft or something, and now he has your name, your email address, your address, and everything. But what's also interesting is he's giving it to you for free, but he's getting used to he's getting the customer used to like their funnel. So, for instance, when I gave away all those freebies in the example I talked about earlier, you still had to go through the Gumroad funnel. So my audience was very not tech savvy, and so I saw that as like a potential friction point in reducing the conversions. And so what I did is when I offered them these freebies, they still had to go through the buying process on Gumroad, but they never had to give their credit card. They just had to give me their email address. So then when I did launch the app and I did ask for their credit card, they were very familiar with it. It wasn't weird. Like Amazon, dealt with that forever, and now everybody uses Amazon, and so you're comfortable with that. You probably have your credit card on there. You probably have your mailing address. But with Gumroad, or in this example, something custom built, you're not familiar with it, so you're like, there's some risk, and so getting people kind of familiar with it before you do, your big ask.
What's interesting though, like these guys are just laughing because this is very like cheesy, right? Like lowest common denominator. It's very like, internet millionaire secret formula stuff. The scary part is this works. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying to recognize that it works actually. Like we saw this even in the paleo world, where we saw like how people react to this sort of copy, and certain segments react very well. And then so sometimes as a marketer, you're like, do I want to go down this path? It's like a slippery slope, right? Like, do I want to start selling complete bullshit? The reason a lot of like good marketers start doing that because it's easy to trigger these sort of primal, greed-like behaviors, actually.
You can always change the tactics. This is bringing the first traction.
Right. Yeah, true, yeah. I like watching these guys. Like I think
both Jeff and Brendan are actually providing value.
Yeah.
But they're just trying these approaches to get people into the funnel.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree. I actually like watching the very aggressive marketers. Not that I use, but I watch some of these guys who are very aggressive that sell sometimes complete bullshit to see what they're thinking. A lot of those guys they have like no shame, no compunction about doing very aggressive stuff. But you can watch how they sell. Watch their funnels. It can be very interesting. I do it all the time where I'm like, oh, what is he doing here that's different? And so sometimes Casey and I will talk about ideas where we'll see something in a super weird space and we go, can we use this at superpowered or other space, right? So it's interesting. This is sort of like this guy's funnel, right? So like, is this like an Infusionsoft flow, actually? Could be.
Yeah, but it can be used like Perdot, you can have it like action-based, basically like finding ways to segment your list and like take them to the funnel. Like they took a certain action, what should their next step be? Like how can you provide them value and like continue to like take them through the flow?
So like if you
hold their hand through the process.
So there's a bunch of tools that allow you to do this. One's called Entreport, one's called Infusionsoft. This comes out of the affiliate marketing space, which is often very, very cheesy, very, very aggressive. And they do this very interesting event-based segmentation where you can write this whole script where it's like, look, anybody that comes, like I have a sequence of 10 emails, and if the person opens, I want you to send this email. If they don't open, I want you to 5 days later send this email. And if they don't respond to that, then like take them off the list. But if they do open, then put them on this other one where I sell them a video, right? So you can map this stuff out. A lot of the very aggressive affiliate marketers do this. I think it works. I think you're going to see that tool also migrate from sort of skeezy weird people that sell you bullshit to all you great people who are doing perfectly legitimate stuff, right? One's called Entreport, and one's called Infusionsoft. There's other ones out there. You got to be careful with those tools sometimes because spammers use them, and so the deliverability can be sometimes very poor, and your domain could be blacklisted. So you got to be a little careful. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant to give this stuff. Like, I don't want to give this to you, and then like all of a sudden like your deliverability goes to 0, and then like you send me angry emails.
You can use Perdot and some other products. You can kind of like hack your way through MailChimp. And then set it up as well.
Wasn't Customer.io doing something like this?
Customer.io.
Customer.io was doing stuff like this.
Cool. Bring some people up here.
Yeah, let's do this. We're almost done. Wow, 5:12. Okay, so let's do this. Let's bring at least one, maybe two people up here. They're going to talk about their problem, and then all of us are going to try to figure out some growth hacks. What do you guys say? And then theoretically, the pastries will remain and beer will show up. Keep our fingers crossed. Peter's giving me a cool Dutch nod. Don't worry, chill out. You want to go? We have a first. Wait, hold on. I think let's get someone we haven't got yet. Hold on. Who would like to come up, present, talk about their problem, what works, what doesn't, and we'll brainstorm some ideas. No one? Gentleman back there, come on down. Alrighty, so what are you working on?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Patrick, and I'm working.
It's going to the audio is going in there, but don't worry about it.
So I'm working on a central platform where we bring doctors and patients together. So as a patient, you can go to the platform. It's called DocBook. You can see who are the doctors in my neighborhood, and with a few clicks, you can just book a doctor that is active on the platform. So you can basically compare it with a hotels.com or a booking.com, but then not to find a hotel room, but to find a doctor or to make an appointment with a. I'm kind of tired. To make an appointment with a. To schedule.
Yep, schedule an appointment. Yep.
To schedule an appointment with a medical provider. So, what is our key problem? Well, we have thousands of patients that we serve every day. We have hundreds of doctors that are on our platform. But obviously, there are tens of thousands of doctors in Belgium, in the Netherlands, and we really want to grow our reach, generate leads with doctors. So that's basically our key problem. How do we generate good leads with doctors? So.
Got it. So, okay. So you've got a two-sided marketplace. You already got hundreds or thousands of people interacting and scheduling.
Yeah, that's
so
correct.
The software works, and people are finding each other.
Yeah, people are finding each other, but our goal now is like to really scale our sales.
Yeah.
So we need to find really good leads.
Got it. Okay. So and then you got the two-sided marketplace, and you feel the doctors are more important to scaling your marketplace because you think they want to advertise, and they'll also bring their patients to your platform.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Got it. Okay. Who's got some ideas? Gentleman here.
I think language is one of the biggest issues for your scaling, right?
We don't see it as an issue. We're available in 4 different languages: German, Dutch, French. English.
So if people calling from Africa and India, it's still certain, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Physical location doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, but you have to go to the doctor, to the actual appointment. So we help you to make.
It's a local search.
So, for instance, like if in Amsterdam or in Antwerp, you will see the doctors that
I
are.
thought it was online only.
Yeah, so it's called DocBook. DOC DOC from doctor, and then BOOK from booking.
So
DocBook.
have you
Yeah.
doc DOC book BOOK? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's. Yeah.
So you're not getting good SEO. It looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. So work on your SEO. Number 1 tip.
Did you try reach out for a partnership with medicine organizations that organize like meetings for doctors, like specialists in gynecology or things like that?
We're working in this a bit. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How about this? Here's one. Have you tried scrape? So you're in Belgium and the Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
So probably English, French, Flemish. Am I missing anything? Have you tried scraping existing sources and creating profiles for doctors who aren't on your platform yet?
We've got the information. We haven't created different
Profile.
profiles yet because we were wondering, is it going to be a good way to do it? And the second thing is also, how can we like quickly implement something like that, like the correct CMS system?
Oh, okay.
I know a guy who worked on a similar platform, and one of the biggest challenges he had was integrating with the doctor's appointment schedule, because they all said, okay, I don't want to work with the system, because I have to work with my system, and you have to go to the integration part, and there's a lot of stuff, and there's another one for the
Right. Okay. But let's assume that's taken care of. Let's think it's growth hacks for our friend Patrick. And I'm very fond of Patrick because Patrick's are amazing people. So let's help Patrick here. So my idea, just throwing at you, I would go see if you can find existing doctor profiles, whether they're not on your platform, not load them up there, create a page, maybe even let people allow to book them. You see that comes through. You pick up the phone, you call the doctor. Hey, Dr. Casey, I'm Patrick from DocBook. Patrick Vlaskovitz wants to see you. Can I connect you guys too? And then you send them an email, and then they see that you guys are lead gen, right? In the meantime, you're probably ranking more. Maybe doctors are Googling themselves. Anyone saw some hands raised? Any other ideas? Back here. What? Can they sue you for that? So let me, anyone can sue anything, right? You could sue me because I'm really good looking, right? One. Two, I don't know about the laws in Europe, but publicly available information, at least in the United States, doesn't appear that they could sue you. I don't know about Belgium. I don't know about the Netherlands. Could be different, right? So like, you go and take you have publicly, like I walked on the street, I see a doctor's name and an address, right? But again, there's this whole thing about the freedom to forget and all that stuff. So good question.
There also might be some associations. So you're going for a doctor, but that's still kind of broad, especially early on. Maybe it's pediatricians, for instance, that you're seeing. Maybe they like your product the most, and I'm not very privy to the health services in Europe, but there might be like a pediatrician association in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in France or something, and maybe you can connect with them because you are providing value to those pediatricians, and in turn, they might help from your product, or at least you can start talking to them to see how you get some widespread distribution there. Because what I like there is they have these big lists, and they're also like the authority figure as well.
Any other ones? Got idea?
Follow on that, if you cross that on certain types of diseases that actually you might get a doctor for, then make a cross between specific type of doctors and specific diseases you might have, so you can do SEO.
Yep.
And you and I talked a little bit in the break, but you have this data, you have these doctors claiming their profiles, and so when they tag themselves, like I'm a pediatrician, I'm located in this city. You can create these hub pages that are like aggregating people based on certain tags. So it'll be just like a landing page, like there are 17 pediatricians in Amsterdam, or there are 17 pediatricians that help with XYZ in locate city, and you can pull that in, and therefore you're creating like a bunch of like hub pages at once.
Cool. Awesome. Let's do one more. Thank you, Patrick. Let's do one more. Who's got something super weird? Thank you.
If after this you have any good ideas, my email is patrick@docbook.be. So
There we go. Yeah, good. Anybody got something super weird? No one? Guy in the Space Invaders cap.
Hi guys, my name is Jasper. I launched the world's first crowd lottery, as in crowdfunding. Because if we
What is it?
crowd lottery, as in
Crowd lottery.
crowdfunding.
Okay.
If everybody, if we share happiness directly with each other, we can create better odds, higher payouts, and lower cost. The only difficulty is that it's a lottery, and in most countries lotteries are illegal. So I don't, I can't use the traditional marketing channels. So
You said lottery?
lottery, yeah. So and 50% of the profit goes to charity, so everybody is better off in the end.
Interesting.
But
This is weird. I like it. This is weird.
I can't use the traditional channels, so
Right.
I don't know if he wants to stole from you, the guy who could have used PayPal.
Oh, really? So hold on. Let me see if I before you answer that question, let me see if I understand correctly. So, so what I think he's saying, Jasper, right?
Yeah.
So Jasper's saying is, we all give $5. Everybody in this room gets
it's €1 a week in the pot, and the winner takes all. So if right now the last draw was 314 people.
So we
then
all
your
put
chance
we all
to
put a
win
euro.
is-
So there's €100 in the pot
Yeah,
every week,
yeah.
and then what?
Someone in the crowd takes home the money
Okay, so why is it good for me then?
because you have better odds and.
Why do I have better odds? Yeah.
The normal lotteries have like if the chance that you hit a jackpot in normal lotteries, they don't tell you, but it's unbelievably small.
Right.
And in this case, it's completely transparent, and the chance.
But how is it
the odds are way higher,
the
so-
odds? How is it that the odds are higher?
Because I pay out 100% of the stakes. I only charge a small administration fee.
Oh,
on
you're
top
running
of
your
the-
own lottery.
Yeah.
Is it-
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I see
I'm-
what you mean.
I pay out 100% of the stakes, so all the stakes that you as a player put in
Got it.
goes out.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yeah, so it's his lottery. It's not like a state lottery. It's his lottery.
Yeah, lotteries are totally not transparent. They're not focused on the thing that the player wants. They want to have to hit the jackpots, you know. And normal lotteries try to get as much money out of the player and give us a little
But you're
back,
a nice
as little back as
you're a nice
possible.
lottery. You're right.
I'm the social and transparent lottery, the way lottery should be, in my opinion.
Okay,
But-
got it. Okay.
I don't know, like, how you calculate who wins, but you could do kind of like the giveaway stuff where people share it and get others to throw more money in, and they get, more submissions. But
Yeah, but the thing is that it
it's not like casinos, so
Yeah, exactly. So I was gonna say. So I like that it's weird. I like it's hard, but I think there's like tons of legal stuff that we have no idea what we're talking about. So
yeah, that's
let's just-
complicated.
Very complicated. We don't want anyone to do anything illegal. But I think Casey nailed it. You're doing an online casino, so
No, it's not a casino. It's not a casino.
it's not a casino in your mind. It's not a casino in your mind. It's a casino though.
It's about sharing happiness, you know.
I like that. This guy's a great marketer, by the way. Fucking amazing, right there. Sharing happiness, guys. So hold on, real quick. We're gonna get some answers here. But here's my first thing. I would just assume that your customers are the same people who play like poker online and like the betting online, the casino stuff. I know you're saying that you're not a casino. Trust me, you're a casino. The same people who do that sort of stuff, they would love this sort of thing. And if you can get those people over there,
There's definitely overlap, but in a casino you get like a response every minute or something.
say,
With
own
me
it,
it's like
own it,
once
own
a
it.
week
It's okay.
and
You don't have to.
can
You
only
don't have
pay
to.
for
You don't have to
one euro.
apologize. You don't have to own it. Own it. You're a casino.
All right.
Okay. Let's go. This guy, the beard guy.
Try the Broadband system.
Sorry?
Broadband, that's disability
Keep going.
community thing, and that's based on gifting each other money. It's exactly
All right.
the same system, but for disability.
All right. Well, we'll
There we go. Look at that.
talk over a beer then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Buy that guy beer. This gentleman.
want to do marketing, I mean, and if you calculate the odds that you can still have your plane that you have more chance of winning, why don't you, if you do it every week, give away like 7 weeks a year where you don't know when, the total value to a charity, so that everybody plays.
Yeah, but
the odds are still better, but we can do marketing saying, yeah, this week I gave 10,000 euros to X or Z.
you can already play for charity, and 50% of my profit also goes to charity. So I'm already trying to incorporate it. But since the volumes are still low, I can't say like 10,000 euros is something which I can't.
Okay.
So the numbers are still
Got it.
very
Okay.
very low.
Let's do. Yeah. This is. Actually, I asked for a weird one. I got a super weird one. It's great. Let's do one last. Anyone have one last thing, and then we're gonna wrap up. Anyone?
Was it weird enough?
It was really weird. I like it. It was so blew my mind. I was not expecting that, and I've seen a lot of stuff. Last gentleman here.
Maybe to come out of the lottery casino thing, there's a movement in Germany, I forgot the name, but it's the German for basis income. It's a
Alright.
guy doing the same thing, and he's giving away a year basic wage instead of a fee. And this
Alright.
is actually generating quite a bit of traffic because what he's saying is that the basic income, then you can be an artist or something. You can do other good stuff. So it's potentially
All right.
That's a good one.
Think about it.
Maybe Bitcoin, if you accept Bitcoin and you can get some like publicity there. I don't know. I'm afraid to like touch this lottery thing.
By the way, this guy is probably gonna be the richest guy in this room like 2 years from now, right? You're like, you met this. You met Jasper.
Philanthropist. Philanthropist.
Philanthropy. I like it. Good marketing. Great marketing. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Thanks. Good job. All righty. So I think we've come to a close. I'm. By the way. Really grateful you guys are here. I know there's a lot of other places you guys could be. There's a lot of other places you guys spend your time, your money, your energy. So thank you for joining me and Casey here. Thank you to Don Ritson at Rockstart, Peter of Startup Amsterdam and Growth Tribe, the Growth Hacking Belgium group. We had a bunch of Belgians here, invade Amsterdam. Thank you for making this the trip up here. We hope you guys found it valuable. We're going to send you the link to all the free goodies sometime tonight. We're flying to Berlin tonight, so it might be tomorrow morning, but we will send you the free goodies. And again, thanks for coming, and let's have some beers. We got to find the beers.